podcast called Jellison podcast.
First ever type 1 diabetic in UFC history.
Doing fine, Dub. Nice to be with you.
Get out!
He's like, yeah. My tunnel vision and my periphery, I'm like off field.
Hey, you know how it is, though. Hey, when your team.
I don't remember that. That's crazy.
What's up, everyone? We're back with another episode of Jellison podcast, and today I have a very special guest, a Purdue legend, Dakota Mathias. Dakota, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. I mean, thank you so much for doing this. I've been trying to get you for a while now, and shout out to Ryan Smith. He kind of helped us hook up, but
no doubt. Ryan's a good guy. Glad he texted me.
So, I mean, to start, you just announced that you're holding your fourth annual summer camp in your hometown in Ohio, and then you're also holding a camp in West Lafayette this summer in July. So, talk about how those came to be and what you plan to do with those.
Yeah. So we're having like I said, our fourth year. We're back at Harrison High School. Got a great relationship with them. Jerry Alum has been great. Coach Reinhardt over there, they let us use those facilities every year. So very fortunate to be able to use those. We're doing it July 16th this year. It'll be from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Grades K through 8, any boy or girl. All skill levels are welcome. We're going to provide lunch as well, a T-shirt, and we're just going to have a good day, have some fun, learn some new skills. It's a good thing. I've always wanted to do a camp. Growing up back in Elida, Ohio, we had a old-time coach named Chris Adams. He always did these camps, and I always look forward to them every summer. And I'm in a spot where I can do that and allow kids to come out for a few days in summer and just have fun playing basketball.
Mm-hmm. And what made you put this into action? When did you know that you were ready and you could be like, hey, I can actually do this and make a difference in my community?
Yeah, I think it was after my senior year at Purdue. Right after summer league and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, there's always something I wanted to do because it meant so much to me, in the summertime, when I was growing up. Something my friends and I really enjoyed. We got to compete and learn the game. So I've just always wanted to give back in that way. And, I love being around the game of basketball. So if I can help younger kids enjoy it and get better, it's something I've always wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned this is your fourth year. Raphael Davis, just in the short time he's been doing camps, he's talked about how much they've grown and how unexpected it is. Have you kind of had that same feeling? Yeah,
definitely. We've grown, got new kids, but I think the cool thing about ours is, in the past 4 years, we've had, many kids come back. And I think that's a sign of, you put on a good product, they have fun, especially. And that's the biggest thing, having fun and, like I said, developing new skills, things like that. But the fact that we have the same kids sign up year in, year out, I think that says a lot.
Mm-hmm. And then talk about the importance of athletes and celebrities giving back to their community, especially the youth.
Definitely. That's what it's all about. Anytime, I remember, the old high school players, when I was younger, I used to look up to them and idolize them. So coming to camp was a chance to hang out with them. So, if younger kids, think of, myself or Raphael in that aspect, that's so cool for them. So to be a role model like that and, do the right things on the court as well as off the court, that's huge. And it's invaluable for them.
Well, I'll tell you, from a fan's perspective, they definitely do. Okay, both of you guys are legends. I couldn't imagine I went and worked one of Raphael's camps, and it was still kind of weird to me to be with him and Lou Jack and AJ Hammond, just to be around them, even though I was a camp coach or whatever. So I can't imagine what these kids think, seeing you guys and you doing this stuff for them. I think it means a lot more than you guys all realize.
And that's what it's about. A lot of these kids that, they see us on TV or come to games, we're normal guys. We're just having fun, enjoying the game of basketball. So being up and close and personal and, teaching them little things and talking to them, just joking around. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. And do you realize the significance of what you're doing? Have you had any instances where you kind of looked at one kid and realized that you really made an impact on them?
Just, the things their parents say, how much fun they've had and enjoyed it. And just the fact that they ask, when are you doing it next year? What dates? We got to block them off. So things like that kind of hits home to say, we're doing a good job and they're having fun.
Mm-hmm. And then you kind of mentioned you're in the off season now. So what does that look like for you in terms of training and prep for next year?
Yeah. So the next, 8-9 weeks is going to be training, working on my body, working on my skills, doing basketball training. I got a good trainer named Joey Burton out here in Indianapolis. I've been with probably 4 or 5 years now. So we do a good job with him. And like I said, just getting ready for, summer league, beginning of August, and then free agency. So kind of in the middle right now, not sure where we're going to be or where we're going to go. But like I said, we'll know a lot more in August, beginning of August, when free agency opens up. But just trying to, be in the best shape and, get ready as best I can.
Mm-hmm. And recently you were able to represent Team USA for a second time, just like you did when you were back at Purdue. So what was that experience like?
Oh, it was awesome. Especially, the caliber of players that were on that team, Joe Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, these are multi-time all-stars. So, to be able to work out with them and, see how they go about things. It was cool to see because both of them have kind of been out of the league a few years and just see how hungry they still were. Just their work ethic and, guys like that, they could easily, sit back and, they got plenty of money. They've got, plenty of accolades. They could kind of chill, but they really helped, younger guys like myself just, kind of show us the way, like how you need to work, how you need to be, things like that. So it was a great opportunity. Even we were there for 8 or 9 days, but made a lot of connections, had great teammates, and, even our coaching staff, a lot of them were former NBA coaches or college coaches. So just to have those connections and, work with those guys, it was a great experience.
Mm-hmm. And how does that compare to the feeling of putting on that Team USA jersey compared to when you did it when you played for Purdue?
Oh, it was similar. Anytime you can, represent your country, you want to do it. My agent, called me about it a few days before. He's like, "You want to do that?" Absolutely. Any chance to just play basketball and represent your country, what more do you want? So it was a no-brainer for me. And like I said, I'm glad I did it. And, getting 2 wins and just, making all the connections and having a great experience. That's what it's about.
Mm-hmm. And you have bounced a little bit around just in your pro career. You're overseas. And you're back in the NBA and the G League. So talk about that process and your path within pro ball thus far in your career.
I went over to Spain and played. It was awesome. I had a great teammate, Luke Herringody. He went to Notre Dame, obviously, All-American. So he really helped me out because he had been over there, I think 7, 8 years before that with different teams. So he kind of helped me, took me under his wing. But playing it was the ACB, it was the top league in Spain, and I was very naive to it. I didn't really understand, the culture over there, or even, the basketball itself. But it's one of the best leagues in America or in the world, I should say. It's the same Luka Doncic. He played in that league with Madrid, Barcelona, these big time teams. So it was definitely an eye opener. Those first couple of games playing against these top talents. But it was a great experience. I'm glad I did it. I ended up getting hurt. I messed up my ankle a little bit, so I had to come back. Got ready for summer league again, and then ended up with I went to training camp with the Mavericks, and that was fun. That was so awesome just to be able to be in an NBA training camp, learning from Rick Carlisle, an all-time coach. Jason Terry was around there, Dirk was walking around, so there was a lot of guys I looked up to, remember watching. So that was a great experience. And then playing in the G League, I had a really good year, had a great coach, great system. So it's very different basketball year to year. You play overseas, it's a different style, different brand. You go to NBA training camp, it's very different than you go in the G League. And there's a lot of former guys who played in college, a lot of veterans, a lot of rookies. It's just a mixture of a lot of different types of guys. So playing in that was good. And then this year, having the opportunity to really play in the NBA and take that next step. Playing with a legendary coach, Doc Rivers, and all-stars like Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. So I think each year we're kind of taking a bigger step, and that's what I'm preparing for this summer. Hopefully we can take another step next year.
Mm-hmm. And did you ever play against Luka Doncic, or did you guys miss each other in that time frame?
No. So that was his second year. Like I said, he's an unbelievable talent. The way he, his step back, everybody talks about that, but it's really hard to guard. You kind of know it's coming, but he's still going to get it off and make it. The thing that impressed me, and everybody sees it, just his passing ability. He's 6'8", he's strong, but the way he passes the ball, he sees everything, and he just has so much fun out there. Like it's so fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. And that was probably when he was 16, 17.
Yeah. So you were talking about in Dallas. I was talking about in Dallas when I played against him in camp.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So I actually missed him overseas. I did not play against him there, but everybody was talking about him over there. They're like, he's going to average a triple double, all this. I'm like, I don't know about that, but he does. He does it.
Yeah, I mean, he's like he's just a specimen in terms of. It's hard to even put into words like what he does. Honestly,
It is. You underestimate these guys. You watch them on TV, but in person, you guard him. He's just so physically strong. He's easily handled. But like I said, his passing ability is, I think, the best in the league.
Mm-hmm. And how was each organization different, and what were you able to learn? I mean, even if you were like, I remember you were with the Lakers for a summer league. So even if you were there for just a short amount of time, how much can you learn from that organization?
Yeah, you can definitely learn a lot. I mean, you're in there, probably 6-7 hours a day. I mean, you're working out, you're doing stuff with the trainers, you're lifting, and then you're doing on court skill work, then practices, and then you're coming back at night. So even though it's a short window, you're still getting a lot of time in. But I just think, they have so much support staff there. So like they have so many player development guys. I mean, Drew Anthrop's one that's with the Lakers now. They have a training staff. So whenever you want to get a lift in or work on your body, so you have all these resources. So that's something I kind of pride myself on. I wanted to be there as much as possible, meet as many people and just really embrace each opportunity. And they're all very similar in that aspect. They have great support staff. So like I said, that was my biggest thing, just taking advantage of that and being around there and they always say, be a sponge, soak in everything, learn as much as you can. Cause these coaches and these development guys that they've been around it, they're with the top guys. So like I said, I've been fortunate to have these opportunities.
Mm-hmm. And how frustrating was it back with your time with the Mavericks G League team? How frustrating was it to know that you're balling out? I mean, I'm sure Purdue Twitter was blowing up the Mavs social media stuff because we all thought you should be getting an opportunity. But how frustrating is that to know that you're balling out and then you don't get that opportunity just yet?
I mean, it can be at sometimes, but at the end of the day, you can't worry about that. I mean, my mindset was, I'm here with the Legends. I'm going to make the most of it and just go, day by day. You can't think, because the second you start worrying about, other games or other guys getting called up, it throws you off your own we always talk about be where your feet are. That's something, live in the present moment. Don't think too much about other things going on because that can really throw you off. So that's something I really had to work towards and learn. I think I do a lot better job of that now, but that was something then that was big for me, not worrying about that stuff. And, I had a good year even from start to finish. There's a lot of guys, they'll start fast and they get that mentality that they should be called up, that they're complaining about stuff, worrying about their own things, and their play starts to diminish. So I think that's a big thing, just sticking to it and, being where your feet are.
Mm-hmm. And I know you're training right now, but are you looking ahead to see like what your next steps could be within your career?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. You're always, kind of looking. Like I talked to my agent just about our options, for summer league or free agency, anything like that. But at the end of the day, it's just about getting better each day. Incrementally getting better. Working on your body, working on your mind. Like I said, skill work with Joey. So yeah, you have to look at that stuff and plan kind of for the future, but you can't get caught up in it and worry about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, I'm a Knicks fan. I mean, we did well this year after 40 years of being trash. So I'd love to see you on the Knicks if they give you an opportunity.
Hey, I'd take it in a second. They turn that around, and they're fun to watch. I mean, the whole playoffs have been fun to watch so far. I know it's early, but I think the conference finals and the finals, whoever's in, it's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of that whole LeBron CP3 arm drama, all that situation?
I'm not sure. There was a lot going on in that play. That happened, and the campaign. Like I played with campaign with the Legends, for a few months there. So it was a lot going on in that play. But I'm excited to watch the rest of that series. I think I haven't watched the Suns a lot this year, but watching them the last couple weeks, and then the other night, they got a great roster. I mean, Devin Booker is one of the top. He's propelled himself into the top 5-6 shooting guards in the league, and they just have so many pieces around him. So I'm excited to see the rest of that series.
Mm-hmm. Do you find yourself rooting for the Lakers more than maybe you had been previously, just because, like you mentioned, Drew Anthrop's there?
Yeah, I definitely root for Drew. I mean, he's taking pictures with the trophy and things like that. So you root for guys like that, but can't really root for one individual team right now. Just kind of watching the whole what happens.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it just crossed my mind that Etuan's playing against him, so you kind of can't pick a side.
That's very true. That's very true. And he had a big game winner. He had a big game winner the other week, and like I said, they're so solid. I mean, they got their starters 1 through 5 are loaded, and they go to a bench guy who's been in the league for 10 plus years, just solid. So I think I might be rooting for the Suns in that one.
Hey, fair enough.
No, I like Ethan though, man. He's so solid. I like him a lot.
Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, speaking of game winners, you hit a game winner this year. So what was that like? Like just the feeling, the euphoria after that shot went in.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. I think the biggest thing I took from that is I didn't play as much of that game. I mean, we had some COVID guys, so I started the first 2 games before that, and we had guys out with COVID. And that game, a few came back, so I wasn't playing as much as I did the last 2 games. And the minutes I got, I wasn't shooting well. I missed, I think, 2 or 3 shots. I wasn't in a good rhythm. But I knew, towards the end there, I think it was Tyrese Maxey fouled out. So I was looking up at the clock or at the scoreboard the last couple of minutes, and he had 5 fouls. I'm like, I got to be ready to go because I was the next guard up. And sure enough, he ended up fouling out. So I went in there, thrown into the fire. But like I said, it's just all about, like I said, being where your feet are, being in the present moment. I've shot that kick out jumper, hundreds, thousands of times in my life. So just getting ready, letting it fly. And I was pretty excited to knock it down. And luckily we ended up with a win.
What was the feeling in the locker room like with everyone surrounding you and going crazy like that?
It was great. I mean, that's what it's about. Even in college, having big wins, you can't wait to get back to the locker room and just talk it up with the whole staff, your teammates, the coaches. That's what it's all about, man. Just the chemistry and things like that. So that was really cool. But at the same time, I mean, we were all excited because we were undermanned. We had a few guys out. So it was just a big win overall.
Mm-hmm. And then I want to transition back to your time at Purdue. Coming in there, I mean, if I remember correctly, they were last in the Big Ten the year before you got there. Yep. So what were your expectations coming in, and did both you yourself and the program exceed them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, coming into a team that's last, you want to elevate that, obviously. And I think the class I came up with, PJ, Vince, Isaac, we all had the same kind of mentality. We were winners, in high school, AAU. We were gonna allow that kind of stuff. And you got to give a lot of credit to Rayfeld Davis. I mean, he changed that whole culture, and he led us. So to be able to, go from last in our junior year, winning the Big Ten, senior year, winning 30 games, things like that, it just doesn't happen overnight. I mean, there was a lot of tough days, especially our freshman year, tough losses, right before Christmas. It was into, Gardner Webb, North Florida, these losses. But I think that built us up to be able to do what we did our junior and senior year.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned Rayfeld. Every time you get brought up, he brings up that story of, like, I don't know if it was your very first practice or it was one of the first few, and you were like recovering from mono, and he walks out and you were just like passed out in the little walkway. What was that like?
It was the very first workout. So like, obviously, if you're a freshman, you're coming in with a little edge, you want to prove yourself. So it was literally the very first workout. It was just, I think, an hour workout. It was like 3 or 4 other guards, skill work the whole time. But it's mid-June and it's 105 in Mackey. And it's so hot. So like I said, I was battling. I was coming off mono, and I wasn't going to sit out at that point. So probably 20, 30 minutes into the workout, I pass out. Like I'm in the little hallway right there, leaning up against the fan. And he comes walking out, and I saw a look in his eye, and I was more upset at myself. I'm like, he can't see me like this. But like, as he always tells that story, it's funny, but it was true. It was true.
And how much did that set you back? Like having mono, because I mean, this year, Ethan Morton had mono coming into the year, and it kind of stunted his growth a little bit as a freshman.
Yeah, especially as a freshman, anytime, you need to be in practice, you need to be working out, catching up, especially all the plays and all that type of stuff. So anytime you're kind of out as a freshman, it hurts you even more. So I think that was just a big struggle, but we were just behind the 8 ball a little bit longer than most freshmen. But at the end of the day, I mean, battled through it and, ended up having a good career, but you can't let setbacks and things like that, just derail you for your whole career. I mean, you just got to take it, like I said, day by day, and I probably could have handled it better just because I was so frustrated with how it was going early on. But like I said, Ethan, he was in the same boat, but he's going to be a great player. He's going to have a great career. He has a good head on his shoulders, and he's going to be one of those kids. He's going to come back next year. He's going to have a great summer this year, and he's going to work hard, and he's going to be able to perform at a high level.
I have to agree. And you mentioned I mean, that recruiting class that you came in with, you guys weren't necessarily the most highly recruited, but ended up being one of the best in Purdue history. So talk about how special it was to have those 4 other guys with you coming in.
Yeah, I mean, that's, give a lot of credit to Coach Paint. Coach Gary, Jack Owens was there, Coach Brantley. I mean, those are the kind of guys you want to play for. It's not all about basketball. It's about being a good person off the court, taking care of your stuff in the classroom, being a good person, treating other people the right way. So I think all of us collectively, did that. We weren't all just about basketball. I mean, I think we represented Purdue well, and that's what it's all about. But when we get to the core, we wanted to change some things. We weren't gonna just be okay with being last in the Big Ten or being, a 500 team. We had our goals set higher.
Mm-hmm. And how did you guys kind of mesh in terms of leadership? Because I've talked to Vince and I know Isaac. I know damn well they're not speaking up like a whole lot. So was PJ the most vocal guy, or how did you guys kind of navigate that?
We all, Vince was pretty vocal for the most part. I mean, PJ and I were more, we led kind of by example, but I think collectively it was, a good leadership role, like all of us collectively. When there were times when each of us had to, at certain stages we had to be a little more vocal, but at the end of the day, I think all of us were good leaders by example, and that's what it takes. I mean, you see somebody doing the right things, coming in every day, taking care of it. And then at the point where they start saying something, it means a lot more. If you start talking, but you're not taking care of your own stuff, it doesn't go a long way, and people kind of look at you funny. So I think we all kind of meshed together in that leadership role. But, our first 2 years, Ray was there and he was the vocal leader. Obviously he still is. But that's what it's all about, just coming together as a team, and just our chemistry was there from the first day, I thought.
Mm-hmm. And what was the shift like of the program? I mean, you talked about those losses like North Florida and Gardner-Webb. When was the moment that you and the rest of the team kind of realized that things were clicking and then the success taking off?
I think it was that same year as my sophomore year, and we ended up losing to Gardner-Webb in North Florida. And we came back and we had 3 straight Big Ten games that were against top 25 teams. I think it was like Minnesota at that time, Ohio State, somebody else, I forget, but we won 3 straight to top 25 opponents. And I think from that point on, it was like, okay, yeah, we can do this. We're not this team that's going to lose, multiple games in a row. We're not going to lose to teams we shouldn't. We're going to take care of business at home. So I think that from that point on, right after Christmas, my sophomore year, that kind of propelled us to say, we can do this. We're not going to stand for, being last or doing all this stuff. So I think that was definitely the launching point.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think Coach Painter got the most out of like the teams when you were there, and how did he kind of approach things to turn the ship around when things were getting shaky?
Yeah, I just think not accepting mediocrity. I mean, you can lose. You might not be, as talented or as athletic as some of these teams, but we're going to be detailed. We're going to do our job every time. We're going to play hard. I mean, our scouting reports, our detail, especially on the defensive end, is second to none. I mean, you knew exactly what play was happening, at every time, every team we were playing. So I think just that attention to detail and doing all the little things. He said that every day. Just do the little things. Build on that. And I think we did that. I think all the guys kind of bought into that, especially because we obviously weren't all athletic. We weren't all 5-star recruits playing against some of these teams that were, but so we kind of had that edge and that mentality to do that.
Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, kind of capping off your guys' career, how much fun was that insane run you guys went on? I believe it was your senior year when you guys were as ranked high as number 2 in the country. Yeah,
well, that was another kind of launching point when we were in the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. And we lost to Tennessee and then turned around and lost to Western Kentucky. And I just remember those couple of days in the Bahamas were awful. I mean, we were all just angry, depressed, because we had a pretty good ranking coming into the season. We had all 4 seniors coming back. We had Carson, Klein. We had all we had all the so we thought we were going to be pretty solid, and we lose those 2 games, and it was just demoralizing. But I think the night before and going into that Arizona game, trigger switch there. I mean, we really turned it up, and winning that game against Solanjo, Trier, DeAndre, and I mean they had some studs. Like I said, those 5-star recruits, those those teams that are ranked higher than us. So I think from that point on, we really propelled it and rattled off a lot of good wins and a lot in a row.
Mm-hmm. And what were those couple of Sweet 16 appearances like? Just having those runs in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's about. I mean, you want to play for Big Ten championships, and that's great, and that was our goal. But another one of our goals was, to make it, far into the tournament, get to the Sweet 16, and especially after our first 2 years, getting upset in the first round, that hurts. I mean, you think about that all summer. So breaking through my junior year and finally getting to that first Sweet 16 and doing it again my senior year, that's what it's about.
Mm. What were some, like, kind of cap off your career again? What were some of your favorite moments, either on the court, off the court, whenever, from your time at Purdue?
I think obviously number one is winning the Big Ten at home against IU. I mean, you can't write it up any better than that. I mean, playing your rival for your conference title. I mean, that was amazing. That was a night we'll never forget. And Mackey was so loud. I mean, you can't. It was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd probably have to agree.
I mean, we had some good wins, but that was definitely number one. I mean, Iowa State to get into the Sweet 16, that was another one. That was a good one, especially just because how that game went. I mean, we were up at halftime. We were up pretty big, and they kind of came back, and we weathered their storm and won at the end there. So I think that those are my top two that I always come back to. Trying to think what other ones. We've got a lot, obviously. Winning the Big Ten and going down to Bloomington. Winning 5 out of 6 times in my 4 years, and since then I don't think we've lost the last 3 years either. So we've had their number for quite a while now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the last time we lost to them, I think
it was my sophomore year. I think
at their place.
At their place, yeah.
Yeah, on that, I think that was that bad goaltending call too.
It was a goaltending call, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it's our state now.
No doubt.
I mean, when you guys are, like, especially when you're a senior going into those games, was your guys' confidence just at an all-time high? You're like, there's no way we're losing this team. We're not letting that happen.
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, you got to be a little grounded. I mean, you can't get too full of yourself like that. But we were definitely confident. Especially going into those games. Like I said, when we were seniors, we'd been through it all. I mean, we've had tough losses, we've had good wins, but we had some tough times that kind of built us up from that. So you definitely have a good sense of confidence going into those games.
Mm-hmm. And I know we're getting close to time, so just three quick ones to wrap things up. What was your favorite opposing gym to go play at in college?
Obviously playing at IU. I mean, we always look forward to that. That's a surefire number one for me, just because the environment and all that and the rivalry. But I really like Maryland. Their fans and the way their gym's built, the fans, the student section's right on you, and it comes right down to you, and they're loud. Scott Van Pelt was there a few times when we were playing, so it was always just sold out, and their fans were loud and on top of you. We played I think one year we played a noon game, and we were shooting around early, and their fans are storming in at like 9:30, 10 o'clock. So I think their atmosphere is really good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like that's an underrated one. Not a lot of people mention that.
Yeah.
So next one, best pure shooter during the Painter era. And I need to remind you that Ryan Smith did not have you at number one.
Did he have himself at number one?
He took himself out of it.
Okay. Well, I'll take myself out of it then. Pure shooter. I mean, I got to go with Carson. I mean, just because he can score or he can shoot in a variety of ways, coming off a ball screen, coming off a pin down, on the move, catch and shoot. I mean, I think just, shooting standpoint, I don't know, pure, but just a shooting standpoint, I look at a guy like Steph Curry. I mean, he can come off the dribble, come off the movement, in a spot up situation. So if you a combination of those things, I think it's got to be Carson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe that's what Ryan said as well. And then the last one, this is from my boss. Shout out to T-Mill. He wants to know which Dakota that you prefer, north or south.
Oh man, I never answer that question. I get that too much. I don't answer it.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, thank you so much for coming on. I'm gonna wrap this up. I know you got to get going, but thank you so much for coming on. It's awesome to see you succeed at the pro level and all the memories that you had at Purdue as well.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Good.